Welcome to Debt Matters, the show that translates UK business events into practical, actionable credit control strategies for you. So, today we're going to look at something that, on the surface, might seem a bit dry. The voluntary liquidation of the Business Banking Resolution Service, or BBRS.
Right, and I think a lot of people might just see that headline and scroll past.
Exactly. But this isn't just some, administrative footnote. It's a real indicator of where cash flow pressure is building up.
And crucially, how quickly that pressure can spread directly into your accounts receivable.
That's the key. The BBRS was supposed to be a kind of safety valve for small and medium-sized businesses dealing with their banks.
And the fact that the valve itself has just completely collapsed, well, that sends a very clear signal to every creditor about what might be going on under the surface of their supply chain.
Okay, so our goal today is twofold. First, let's get to grips with why the BBRS actually failed. And second, this is the really important part. We're going to translate that failure into 5 practical moves you can make this week to protect your business. Let's start with the backstory. The BBRS, it was set up in 2021 with pretty high hopes, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The idea was to help small firms resolve these really difficult funding disputes they were having with major banks.
And this was in the aftermath of some of the big lending scandals, right? For businesses that were kind of stuck.
Exactly that. You were too big or your case was too complex for the Financial Ombudsman service.
But you couldn't possibly afford the time or the money for a full-blown court battle against a bank.
No way. It was meant to be that essential middle ground, a real path to redress. But the outcome has been, well, devastatingly disappointing. The scheme faced constant, heavy criticism almost from day one.
What were the core complaints? Was it the design of the scheme itself that was flawed?
It was largely the design, yes. The criteria to even get into the scheme were just seen as far too narrow. It excluded a lot of businesses right off the bat.
And it was slow.
Famously slow. And if you're a small business fighting for your facility, time is the one thing you do not have. Ultimately, people saw it as bureaucratic, just not delivering any genuine financial resolution.
You can really see that when you look at the raw data, can't you? The number of businesses that actually got a successful outcome.
It's heartbreakingly clear. The official reports confirm it. Just think of all the businesses this was supposed to help, firms stuck in disputes over loans, facilities, all sorts.
And how many actually received an award?
Only 47. 47 claimants received awards through the formal adjudication process. Total.
47. That number alone tells you the service just wasn't fit for purpose.
It really does.
And now it's officially over.
It is. The company's house filings confirm it. The voluntary winding up started on the 8th of December, 2025. Carrie, James, and Nicholas Parsk are the liquidators. The BBRS is done.
So we have a banking redress scheme, this financial emergency room for SMEs, and it achieved a success rate you can barely count. The question for you listening is obvious. Why should the failure of this scheme change how I look at my customers?
Because the pain the BBRS was meant to fix is now completely unresolved. Think about the disputes we're talking about here. A business is fighting a bank over pulling a facility or suddenly tightening lending covenants.
And when that business loses the fight, and there's nowhere else to go,
It creates an immediate severe cash flow shock for that company.
let's focus on that shock. When you say covenant breach, that sounds like jargon, but in real-world terms, what does that mean for a company?
It is the ultimate alarm bell. A covenant is a condition of a loan. You have to maintain a certain profit level, for instance. If you breach it, the bank often has the right to call in the entire loan immediately.
So a manageable long-term loan suddenly becomes a demand for payment in full right now.
Exactly. That firm can lose all its liquidity, its working capital, overnight.
And without the BBRS, the businesses that didn't get help are just left in that state.
Precisely. And that kind of financial distress, it never stays isolated with one company. The first thing a business does to survive is slow down payments to its suppliers. It just has to.
And it spreads down the supply chain.
Like a contagion. And that is where you, as the creditor, start seeing the symptoms directly in your debtor book.
Okay, let's make that really practical. What are the earliest, most reliable signs of this kind of banking distress showing up in my receivables?
We usually look for 3 classic symptoms. The first is what we call sudden late payers.
Okay.
This is your customer who is always paid on 30 days, like clockwork, maybe even early, and then all of a sudden they've slipped to 60, maybe 90 days out. That kind of dramatic, fast change suggests a violent interruption to their cash cycle.
So it's the speed of the change that's the tell. A slow slide could just be bad management, but a sudden drop is a crisis.
Absolutely. The second symptom is partial payments. When a company's liquidity vanishes, they have to start making really tough choices.
Prioritizing.
They're prioritizing. They pay the absolute essentials, the power bill, the key raw materials just to keep the lights on. You might find they're ignoring your oldest invoice because they're paying the loudest supplier, the one they can't operate without. Their priority shifts from fairness to pure survival. And the third symptom is the most alarming. It's a sharp narrowing of your collection window.
What do you mean by that?
Once a company is in this kind of trouble, you're not in a normal collection process anymore. You are in a race against time. You have to get your payment before they appoint administrators or liquidators, because once that happens, your chance of recovery drops to almost zero.
So the BBRS failing confirms that these external finance problems create very real, very measurable arrears problems for every supplier downstream. This is vital market intelligence. Okay. If we accept this risk is real, we have to turn that intelligence into action. We've put together a checklist, 5 immediate changes you can make this week.
And it all starts with vigilance and discipline.
Let's get to it. Move 1.
Move 1. Upgrade any mention of a bank issue to an immediate red flag trigger. Your whole team, collections, accounts, sales, they all need to know the key words that change the risk profile of an account instantly.
What are those specific phrases? What should set off the alarm bells?
You need to train your team to listen for phrases like facility withdrawal, refinancing delays, covenant breach, or even just a vague, we're in dispute with the bank.
So if a customer says any of those things,
That account is no longer a standard case. It's not waiting for a gentle reminder. It has to be manually escalated to your high-risk track immediately. You can't treat it as a simple admin delay.
that makes perfect sense. Okay, move 2 is about speed. Tighten your evidence pack.
Speed is everything when a firm is distressed. If you have to escalate, you cannot afford to waste weeks pulling documents together. You have to be able to prove that debt quickly and cleanly.
What's the most common mistake people make here? What slows a claim down?
Usually, it's a fragmented trail of paperwork. You need it all ready to go. The agreed terms, the purchase order, proof of delivery, the full invoice trail, statement of account, and a clean dispute log.
That last one is important, isn't it?
It's crucial. If there's a legitimate dispute, you have to resolve it. Otherwise, you lose your leverage. If you need to instruct lawyers, that whole evidence pack has to be ready in hours, not weeks. Move 3 is about strategy. You have to learn to split can't pay from won't pay by asking better questions.
Right, the core of collections. But how do you cut through the vague promises when they're in a crisis?
You don't accept general answers like we're having a tough time. You need specifics. Ask them. What exactly changed? On what date did it change? And most importantly, what payments are you prioritizing right now?
That prioritization question is gold. It tells you if you're still critical to them or if you've been pushed to the back of the line.
Exactly. And their answer dictates your next move. If they're prioritizing you, maybe you can negotiate a payment plan. If you're on the back burner, it's a clear signal you need to escalate immediately. Okay, move 4 is about the process itself. Shorten your chase cadence. We need to replace that standard, gentle rhythm with a rapid, stringent schedule for these specific red flag accounts.
But hold on, isn't that overkill for most of your debt book? How do you justify that extra work for the team?
You justify it by being selective. This aggressive pace is only for the accounts you flagged in Move 1, the ones that have already told you they have a fundamental banking problem.
So for them, no more friendly nudges.
None. It's a tight, scheduled plan. For example, Day 1, a firm call. Day 7, a formal demand for a payment commitment. Day 14, an escalation notice from a senior manager. Day 21, a final demand, pre-legal review. When a customer's business is in trouble, the slower you are, the more you lose.
Speed buys you leverage. Okay, finally, Move 5 looks to the future, protect future exposure.
You have to. If a customer is in a banking crisis today, you can't just let the debt grow on new orders tomorrow. You have to actively reduce your risk until they prove their funding issue is resolved.
That can be a really difficult conversation to have with a customer you've had for years.
It is, but it's essential for your own survival. You have to put measures in place. Sharply reduce their credit limit, tighten payment terms from 30 days down to 14, or require a big deposit or staged payments for any new orders. You can't let your bad debt risks grow because of a crisis that is completely out of your control.
So let's wrap this up. The liquidation of the BBRS isn't just the end of a failed scheme. It's a clear signal that the mechanism meant to stabilize SME funding has broken.
That's right, and all those unresolved financial disputes are now showing up as arrears across the market. Proactive, disciplined credit control is your shield against that.
When a small business hits a wall with its bank, that distress immediately becomes a cash flow problem for all of its suppliers.
Your job is to spot those warning signs and move faster than the shockwave itself.
This whole thing just shows that your financial exposure isn't just about your customer sales. It's about their access to capital, their relationship with their bank. Knowing this helps you spot those hidden risks faster than your competitors.
So here's the final question you need to ask yourself. And this is what it all boils down to.
Go on.
If your largest customer mentioned a covenant breach on a call today, are you truly prepared to implement those 5 actions? Upgrading the risk flag, tightening the evidence, shortening the cadence, all within the next 24 hours.
Because that rapid, decisive action.
It's the difference between recovery and writing off a loss.
Thank you for joining us. Follow Debt Matters for more that translates UK business news into actions you can apply to credit control and collections. We'll talk soon.